we talked about method signatures that you see in these menus here. Oh, and there are also methods that get inherited from actor. So see, baby is a subclass of actor. So so baby knows how to do all the things that an actor can do. Where was I? So yeah, so we talked about method signatures, that there are void and method names and method return types and parameters, and we talked about so these are the method signatures, and we talked about method calls, where you actually click on the method signature and it gives you information. It might, if it has a parameter, it might ask you for information like that. So now we're going to talk about what the method signature and the method calls look like in your code. So let me click on baby, and you see we have all these methods in here. I'm going to bring up some PowerPoint to show in a little more detail. I think that'll be clearer. So if we look at the act method, so this is just a copy of the act method that's in here. Let me just show you. So here's the act method. But I think this helps show. So there's this visibility modifier, this word public, and a return type is a void, a method name act, and an empty parameter list. And notice we talked about this in other lessons, that you always, for every method, so you have the signature up at the top, and the body of the method is always enclosed in these start and end braces. And then all this code in here is inside the method. So that's what the act method looks like. So for the act method, the visibility modifier is public, and we don't have to worry about that for now. We'll just always make our visibility modifier public for now. The return type is void. So when you act, it doesn't return any information. The method name is act, and the parameter list is empty. There's nothing in there. Here's one that's maybe a little easier to see. So this is the getAge method. Let's bring that up. So that's this one right here, public int getAge. And that has a visibility modifier of public. It has a return type of int, so you're going to get back some information from it. Its method name is getAge, and there's an empty parameter list. So you see, methods always have these signatures up top, and they always have these braces with some kind of a method body inside. So there's a visibility modifier, a return type, a method name, and a parameter list. Even if there are no parameters, you need to have that parameter list. So this is just an empty list. It just has open parentheses and closing parentheses. Okay, so that's the whole signature. Public int getAge and then parentheses, and then you put your braces at the start and the end of the method body. Okay, and notice when it has a return type, then it has a return statement. So this says I'm going to return age, and age is an integer. Okay. For this one, this is the isOld method. So the method name is isOld. The return type is Boolean. So this is going to return a true or a false. This one also has an empty parameter list. Okay, and this one and has the start and end braces for the method. And the return statement here, we're saying we're checking to see if the age is bigger than 100. So if the age is bigger than 100, we're saying that's a really old baby. So yes, the baby is old. So this will return true if the baby's older than 100, and otherwise it'll return false. This is our times 2 method. So the method name is times 2. This one, the return type is an integer. It's going to return a number. And you know what? That's not really what it does. Let me see. What does times 2 do? Times 2 returns the number times 2. That makes more sense, doesn't it? Okay. Oh. So, what the times 2 method does is whatever its input statement is, or whatever its input parameter is, it takes that parameter called number, and it returns that number times 2. So this is our return statement right here. Return number times 2. So the method name is times 2. The parameter is an integer number called number. So the name of the input parameter is number, and we take that number and multiply it by 2, and that's what we return. Okay, so when you have a return type, you have to have a return statement. Okay, and I think that's it. Oh, and then we have the move left, right? Okay, so for move left, remember we can have the baby can move in different directions. So again, this is move left is the method name. It has a void return type. Okay, it doesn't give back any information, but it does need information. So when you do the method call, you have to give it some number of steps to walk. Okay, and then it does a set location. And notice there's no return statement here. Trying to send back a return value because it's void. Okay, and here's your start and end of the method body. All right. Now, so we've looked at method signatures, and the way to think about these. Let me get back into here. The way to think about these is that they're like recipes. So you can imagine there's like a little guy in the background trying to make everything happen for you in here, and when he sees when you make a method call to act, what he does is he goes and looks up the recipe or the instructions for how to act, how to perform the act method. So he goes into your file here and he sees, oh, here's the act method. This is how I do it. So I'm going to go, 4 times through, and we'll talk about loops later. That's something we haven't gotten to yet, but that's okay. But what we're going to do is 4 times we're going to do this turn 90. Now look at this turn 90. What this is a method call. So you can have method calls in your code, okay? And you have written already. When you use @world_edge, that's a method call. Okay, so you've used all different kinds of method calls already. But right here, this is a method call, and we see that it needs a parameter that's a number. So somewhere there's a signature that says turn with an input parameter of 90. That's actually in the actor method. So actor has a bunch of methods already written up. We don't have access to the actual code for actor, but we can look up any of the methods that it knows how to do. So here we have the turn method. I'm going to click on that and get more detail. So it's a public, so here's the signature for turn. Okay. It's a public access type. It doesn't return anything. The method name is turn, and it needs an integer. That's amount. Okay. So let's go back and look at that. So we can make a method call right in here saying turn 90, and since actors know how to do that, it'll go ahead and do that. There's another method call here. This is a class method from the Greenfoot class saying delay for 10. So let's look that one up. Let's see. I'm going into Greenfoot class documentation and look up Greenfoot here and see what it says about delay. So right here I'm going to click on delay, and it says delay the current execution by a number of time steps. The size of one time step is defined by the Greenfoot environment, the speed slider. So depending on the speed slider, that time is going to be shorter or longer. Okay, but what we're doing is, and again, this static just means that we need to say Greenfoot dot delay instead of just a turn thing. So when you see that static, that's all that means. We need to give it an input parameter, an integer time, and it's not going to return anything. So let's just take a look at how we used it again. So you see, again, we're not trying to get any information out of it. We're just calling it with an input of 10. All right. Here here with is old. Remember, is old does need does give back information, does have a return type. It doesn't need any input parameters, but it gives back information. So when we put is old in here for our if condition, that's going to give us a true or a false. And that's exactly what we need for our if condition, is a true or a false, right? So so in our class definitions, we have all these different method definitions that start with a method signature and have opening and closing braces. Okay, and then inside the method definition, we can have calls to other methods. We can have method calls, and the method calls have the method name and parentheses with any input parameters if it needs input parameters, and then a semicolon at the end. So that's how those statements work. I mean, depending on how you're using it. If you're using it as a statement, we also saw here where we just need a Boolean value inside parentheses for the if. We can just stick it in there. And I think that's enough for now. On you see here, here's another method call, set location. That's a method call to the set location method. But I think that's enough for now. So you get the general idea of method signatures with method names and return types and parameters if there are any, right? Method name, return type, and parameters. And method calls, which you use inside the methods, like this one here. or here's a method call here. Okay, and again, in the world, your method signatures show up here, and your method calls are when you actually click on a method signature, and either you'll get some information back if it has a return type, or it'll just and if it might ask for information if it has parameters, and if it's a void return type, then it won't give you back any information. It'll just do something.